So let's bring you some business news now on the programme. It's been pretty mixed, in fact, on the Asian markets as traders try to claw back Omicron-induced losses. Still much uncertainty, though, after Wall Street suffered a late plunge at the close as the US reported its first case. That on top of belief as well that the Federal Reserve will end its vast bond-buying financial support programme much quicker than expected. As you can see, pretty lacklustre trade, really. The biggest change here of over 1% up on the Seoul and Kospi, just a slight dip on the Nikkei, though, in Tokyo. Now then, US lawmakers are once again facing an end-of-week deadline to avoid a partial government shutdown. A stopgap spending deal reached in September funds government agencies until midnight on Friday. The Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, he said on Wednesday good progress was being made towards a bipartisan agreement, although a group of hardline Republicans have threatened to block any plan that allows for vaccine mandates. Now, Congress also has to, once again, tackle the question of raising America's borrowing limit. The Treasury Department has said it may not be able to meet its financial obligations after December the 15th if the debt ceiling isn't lifted or suspended. Now, as governments around the world grapple with the question of reimposing travel restrictions, Fiji has opened its borders for the first time in more than 600 days. The first international holidaymakers arriving on the Pacific island, welcomed by traditional dancers in grass skirts, as you can see. Tourism accounts for 40% of Fiji's economy, but other countries, they're worried about the impact of the new Omicron variant of COVID-19. The head of the UN's tourism agency saying blocking travel was not the answer.
I also repeat our call for restrictions on travel to be a very last resort and for all governments to follow WHO guidance, which advise against such measures in cases like this.
Now then, if the festive end-of-year period is proving a little expensive, or perhaps you know your kids will love a toy for a short time, then put it back in the cupboard and not touch it again. How about this? Renting instead of buying. A trend that's really picking up, in fact, in the toy market. 61 million toys will be bought in France this Christmas. But why buy when you can rent? James Vecina reports.
In the Charrier household, Christmas comes once a month.
They generally play with their toys for a month or two, and then they just sit on the shelves gathering dust. So this is a nice idea.
After signing up to the monthly service, the parents can order toys and games to be delivered to their own doorstep or pick them up in a shop. It's a way of treating children while also keeping costs down.
All this would have easily cost €100 to buy. Instead, I spend €13 a month.
Morgane Longo decided to launch the company 3 years ago after realising how quickly children get bored of their new toys.
Toys and games have an average lifetime of 7 months, but they get played with for much less. So we wanted to allow children to play with them and then swap them.
The company has over 1,000 games and toys in stock, which are all carefully checked before being rented out again. They now have 3,000 customers, triple the number from 2 years ago. And economists are noticing a change in mentalities.
The most important part of all of this is being able to play, not to own the toys. And if by subscribing to these services, parents feel they're playing a part in encouraging a more responsible way of buying, then it's a win-win situation.
One study found that 120,000 tonnes of toys are thrown out every year in France. Only a tenth of those are recycled or reused.